One of the MENA countries, Qatar, hosts the FIFA World Cup. The large-scale sports event is covered by journalists from all over the world. How does the Qatari government treat journalists and are their rights being violated? FIFA promised on 15th of October to guarantee the best possible working conditions for the media participating in the tournament. This promise has not been fully kept and must not be betrayed during the event. Reporters Without Borders stated that more and more sports journalists have said they are worried about being arrested, subjected to violence, or even arbitrarily detained. Let's look at the one situation. A Danish TV crew's live broadcast in Qatar was interrupted by security staff who threatened to break their camera. When TV2 reporter Rasmus Tunnel was reporting live from a street in Doha ahead of the FIFA World Cup, he was stopped by officials over claims of not having a permit.
Mister, you invited the whole world to you invited the whole world to come here. Why can't we film? It's a public place.
Then the journalist showed his accreditation.
Pass, and this is the accreditation. We can film anywhere we want. There are only, of course. No, we don't need permit. Yeah, but you can break the camera. You want to break the camera? Okay, you break the camera. Okay. Yes. So you're threatening us by smashing the camera.
Qatar's Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy has since apologized. They said that journalists were mistakenly interrupted. Journalists seeking accreditation for the World Cup must agree to not film or photograph in residential properties, private businesses, and industrial zones, as the permit's terms and conditions state. Government buildings, hospitals, and religious locations are off limits to reporters as well. Those terms clearly allude to sensitive areas where journalists have covered violations of migrant workers' rights in the past. The press freedoms group Reporters Without Borders wrote in a statement. The Qatari authorities are misusing the accreditation systems for journalists in order to ban them from covering certain subjects, by requiring that the media, when they applied for accreditation, agree to abide by a number of conditions, some of which are vague, ambiguous, and open to arbitrary interpretation. Qatar is clearly seeking to discourage, if not prevent, the foreign media from talking about anything other than football. RSF Secretary General Christophe Delors said. RSF also stated that freedom is the most important thing for journalists. After flaunting human rights when building the stadiums, Qatar must not paint the World Cup by restricting press freedom. World Cup coverage is not limited to what takes place on the field, what's happening in the stands and in the city. The atmosphere and the context are also covered. All this implies a freedom that many journalists fear they will be denied in Qatar. To bring this world event to life for readers, listeners, and viewers, sports journalism requires no more and no less than what all journalism is all about: freedom. The government has been saying media are free in Qatar, including in a recent tweet by the National World Cup Committee. Thousands of journalists report from Qatar freely without interference each year. In the 2022 World Press Freedom Index, Qatar ranks at 119 out of 180 countries. The state does interfere with media coverage in Qatar. The very legal framework sets limitations on what journalists may cover. This includes a 1979 press law that prohibits criticism of the emir and bans coverage of topics including anything that may endanger the safety of the government. A wealthy Gulf emirate, Qatar has built a media empire whose impact is felt throughout the Arab world and beyond. But covering domestic political issues remains a real challenge, and the restriction of press freedom in this country remains an obstacle for journalists.